Yu-Gi-Oh! An incredibly complex card game with tens of thousands of cards. However, what if each set was separated from the rest of the massive card pool and your choices when building a deck were extremely limited? In this series, in order to learn Yu-Gi-Oh! From the ground up, I will be embarking on an adventure through the history of the card game with Jeexx. In each episode, we will have access to all the cards in a select product, and using only the cards in that product, both of us will build a deck before playing a best of 3 match to determine the winner of the episode. We will move in a chronological order in the series, and with each new episode we will forget the cards of the past in order to experience something brand new. We hope you enjoyed this adventure through Yu-Gi-Oh! And its evolution with us. Welcome to the historic Yu-Gi-Oh! Learning journey. What's up guys, welcome back to this Yu-Gi-Oh! Learning journey, this time with Fist of the Gadgets as well as OTS number 11. So without further ado, let's go through this and see what we're working with. And as the name suggests, like gadgets are one of the big archetypes present here. A bunch of like reprints as well as like new stuff here as well. And the other big thing in this set, funny enough, is the Fire Fist cards. Fire Fists also get a bunch of new support. I want to say this is like the last actually big wave of Fire Fist support, but they also get a bunch of good stuff here. There's also some Summon Skull stuff here. Summon Skull gets a Ritual, a Synchro, an Exist, and a Fusion, where I honestly don't really even know. I'm trying to read through these. It's they exist. But yeah, I don't know much about the Summon Skull stuff, unfortunately. Then there's a bunch of stuff for like links in general and like some new Code Talker stuff, and then we just get some reprints for Subterror as well as True Dracos, Scrap Recycler here, as well as some Amorphages and Slavian and Fusion Dragon if you want to go for some super poly shenanigans here. As for the OTS, there's not a lot here. Pot of Desire is obviously probably the most relevant thing. Dingirsu also here as a nice 8. A bunch of other core stuff as well. A Violet Chimera, a Love Lupine, obviously good normal for Thunder Dragons, but unfortunately I don't think, I say unfortunately I don't think we're getting those here, but yeah, we're not seeing those here, and more agreed, but as we've established before, side sets don't give us legacy support, even though they would have something called Greed in them, so no Pot of Greed for us. But as you can see, we're playing Fire Fists in this episode, so let's go through the deck and see what we're working with. Starting us off, we are starting with our Ritual, but that's Fire Fist Eland. I guess I'll just call them by their names. You can Ritual summon this card with a Dome, and you can discard a monster. It's on a field effect. You can discard a monster, set a fire from a spell trap directly from your deck or graveyard, and then as a quick effect, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can send a Face of Fire Fist or Fire Fist or Fire Formation card you control to the graveyard, except Eland to negate the effect. It doesn't destroy it though, and is a hard once per turn. We're only running one, this is searchable, so yeah. Then we have triple Panda. If you activate a Fire Formation spell trap, you can spell summon this from your hand. Then you can spell summon a Fire Fist monster from your graveyard, except for Panda, and then it locks you into only special summoning Fire Fist monster for the rest of the turn. And then if a Fire Fist monster you control would be destroyed by your opponent's card effect, you can send a Face of Fire Formation spell trap you control to the graveyard instead. Each effect hard once per turn. As for Element, on normal or special summon, you can send a Face of Fire Formation spell trap you control to the grave to special summon a Fire Fist monster from your hand, except for another copy of Elephant. You can target a Fire Formation spell trap in your graveyard, shuffle it in that deck, and you can add a level 5 or higher Fire Fist monster from your deck to your hand. Each effect hard once per turn. As for the older stuff, we are running Triple Dragon once per turn. If you activate a Fire Formation spell trap, you can set a Fire Formation trap directly from your deck. Once per turn, you can send 2 Face of Fire Formation spell traps you control to the grave, then target a Fire Fist monster in your graveyard, except for Dragon, special summon this target. No limitations whatsoever. Raven, if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can set a Fire Formation spell trap directly from your deck, and on field it can protects your Fire Formation spell traps from being destroyed by your opponent's card effects. This is a card where I would love for us to have access to Ala Mirage, because obviously this is just by any means. If I could normal summon Raven and use this to go into Ala Mirage and set tanky, that would be incredible. But unfortunately, there is no way for us to get Ala Mirage in here. There is, I guess actually there is, since Violet Chimera is here, right? Yeah, Violet Chimera is here. I don't really need a lot of the stuff in my side deck, so Honestly, let me get rid of a terraforming and a boar. Let's throw in. Actually, no. I just said would. Yeah, I just said that we don't get stuff from the side sets, so I can't even do that. So yeah, I can't. I would love to be able to play Alamirage here, obviously, because normal summon this, go into Alamirage, like, would fix so many consistency issues, but yeah, can't do that, unfortunately. Fire Fist Bear. Once per turn, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can set a fire formation spell directly from your deck. Once per turn, you can send a face-up fire formation spell trap you control to the grave to target a monster in the field and pop it. Both of them soft once per turn, but we're only running one copy. Another card we're only running one copy of is Buffalo. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send a total of 2 Fire Fist formation Fire Fist or Fire Formation cards from your hand and or face up field to the grave to spell summon this card, but this is a hard once per turn. Double copies of Rooster. I kind of want to run a third copy, but I genuinely don't know what I would replace that with, so that's why we're running 2. When spell summoned by the effect of Fire Fist monster, you can add a Fire Fist monster from your deck to your hand. This is a hard once per turn. And once per turn, you can send a face-up Fire Formation spell trap you control to the grave, set a Fire Formation spell trap directly from your deck. This is only a soft once per turn, which is why I would love to play this at more copies, but I don't know. There's an argument to be made to run another copy of this over the Leopard, because like Leopard is not great because it needs the tribute specifically a monster. So honestly, you know what? I think this makes more sense. Like, drawing Rooster isn't great, but I think this makes more sense because Leopard is just, I think, strictly worse. Especially, it's another thing, like, Leopard would be nice if we had a way to go into Alamirage, because it can then give us maybe Fire Fist names in our grave, but I don't know. I'll make the change and maybe regret later. As for our Tunish, we're running 2 copies of Brother Fire Fist Spirit. Cannot be used as synchro material except for the synchro summon of a Beast Warrior monster. When normal summoned, you can target a level 3 fire monster with 200 or less defense in your grave. Spell summon it in defense position. If you do, monster control cannot attack for the rest of the turn, except for Beast Warrior monsters, and this is a hard once per turn. Our hand drops, once again, Ash Blossom and Imperm. I'm not gonna, probably don't need to elaborate on that. Single Call by the Grave, we really don't want to get ashed, and a lot of stuff, our stuff is also bad for indications, so Call by, very obvious. Triple Tanky, obviously, we're playing Fire Fist where all of our stuff is Beast Warriors, like, it's a given. Just a free Rhoda. Triple copies of Fire Formation Tensu. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Beast Warrior monster in additional to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. And then on the field, says the same thing as Tenki, gives all your Beast Warriors 100 sack. It's just a very easy to activate and just gives us an additional normal, so very good way to trigger our cards like Panda. A single copy of Dome. When activated, you can ritual summon a Beast Warrior ritual monster from your hand, but you put a monster from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed this level. And then if this face-up card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Fire Fist monster in your grave to spell summon it. You can only activate 1, and the effect is also harder once per turn. But this is very searchable. This is why we're running it only at 1. Also, we only have 1 Eland anyway. Also, 1 copy of Ingen. When this card is activated, you can fusion summon a Beast Warrior fusion monster from your action to use a monster from your hand or field as fusion material. If this face-up card is sent from the shelter to the graveyard, you can target a Fire Fist monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Same thing, once again, you can only activate 1, and you can only use this fact as a hard once per turn. We do have 2 copies of Swan, but you'll very quickly learn why. 2 copies of Fire Fortress atop Liang Peak. Is on Fire Fist monster, normal spell summon, place 1 Fire Fist counter on this card. Once per turn, you can remove Fire Fist counter from your field to activate one of these effects. 2 counters. If your Beast Warrior monster attacks this turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. 6, add 1 Beast Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. This is what we're going to be using most of the time. And 10, spell summon 1 Beast Warrior monster from your deck or extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. I would love to use something like Heraclinos, for example, but Panda locking us into what's their face? Panda locking us into Fire Fists, and in general, we just don't have access to Heraclinos by any means. So I figured that, you know what, I'll just run the second copy of Swan and maybe get it off the 10 plus counter. So essentially very similar to how the how Six Samurais dojo works. As for the traps, we are running 2 Ultimate Fire Formation Sinto. It's a spell trap negate. While you control a Fire Fist monster and a Fire Formation spell trap, you can negate the activation and destroy it. You can only activate one. One copy of Fire Formation Tencent. When this card is activated, target a Beast Warrior monster you control it gains 700 until the end of this turn. And then all Beast Warrior type monster control 300 attack. This is just if we set our Sintos, this is another thing that may come up in the combo. As for the side deck, mostly just extra copies of stuff. We are also running an additional tuner here in Boar, but obviously Boar being a level 4 doesn't really make sense because we can use it to make horse prints with literally anything. That's kind of the issue there. 2 additional copies of Bear if we really need the pops. The 1 Leopard that we just threw in there. 3rd copy of Spirit. Triple Pot of Desires if we really feel like we're breaking. But because of our ratios, and especially like if we banish something like Bear, our lengths get so much worse. I do not like this card, but it's here if we need it. Double Terraforming if we really want to find Fire Fortress up Liang Peak, but we can also find this by other means, so I don't feel like this is necessary to main deck as a result. A single copy of Dome, an additional copy of Dome and an additional copy of Ingen, where if we really need the consistency there. 3rd copy of Fire Fortress Alop Liang Peak, a 3rd Sinto, as well as the Ultimate Fire Formation Sato. Banish 7 Fire Formation spell traps from your graveyard, spell summon as many Fire Force monsters as possible from your graveyard, then you can set Fire Formation spell traps directly from your deck, except for Ultimate Fire Formation Sato, up to the number of monster spells summoned by this effect. If this was a spell, I would maybe run it as a one-off, but this being a trap card means that it's like basically a last final like, huzzah, let's just go all in and try to win the game there. But this deck like has a decent grind game, so I would rather just keep my resources and try to outgrind my opponent. So that's why we're not main decking it. As for the non-Fire Fist stuff in our extra deck, we're running a Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, as well as a Hita, since, you know, we're running Fire Monsters, and I do expect Jeexx to be running Ash Blossom anyway, so this can, you know, maybe contribute to that. But the stuff that you're going to be seeing most of the time, our most important card here, probably with the Fire Fist Eagle, takes 2 Beast Warrior monsters. You can only spell summon an Eagle once per turn, and the only thing that matters here, you can activate Fire Fist monsters effects without sending Fire Fist or Fire Formation cards from your hand or field to the graveyard. No, the first time you would use it, or limitation or anything like that. You can just, every time you would use an effect which has a cost of like sending one of those cards, you don't need to do that. Additionally, you can target a Fire Formation spell trap you control in your graveyard, return it to the hand and send a Fire Fist monster from deck to graveyard, so you can foolish Fire Fist stuff as well. This is a hard once per turn, but this first part here is why we're playing Eagle. We want this to be on our board at all times. A single copy of Peacock takes 2 Fire Fist monsters. While this card points to a Fire Fist monster, your opponent's monster cannot target this card for attacks. While this card declares an attack, you can send a face of Fire Formation spell trap you control to the grave. To target a monster your opponent controls, place the opponent's monster in a zone this card points to, and take control of it until the end of phase, but it cannot declare an attack this turn. This is mostly like what we're using to make some Fire Nightmares with. But Peacock is just, it's fine. It's nothing crazy. 2 copies of Swan, because of what I explained earlier, takes 2 Beast Warrior monsters. If this card is spell summoned, you can burn your opponent for 200 for each Fire Formation spell trap you control. And during the battle phase, as a quick effect, you can send a face of Fire Formation spell trap you control to the grave to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. This is a hard once per turn. 2 copies of Tiger King, takes 2 level 4 Beast Warrior monsters. When this card exits summoned, you can send a Fire Formation spell trap directly from your deck. Once per turn, detach 1 to negate the effects of all face-up effect monster currently on the field, except for Beast Warriors until the end of your opponent's turn. And when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can send 3 Fire Formation spell traps you control to the grave to spell summon 2 level 4 or lower Beast Warrior monster with the same attack from your deck in face-up defense position. No once per turns anywhere on this card, by the way. That's why we're running multiple copies. We can go through 2 of them and really make some crazy plays on our opponent's turn. Cardinal is okay. Takes 2 level 4 Fire Fist monsters. You can do this to target 2 Fire Fist or Fire Formation cards in your graveyard and are face up on the field, and 2 cards in your opponent's graveyard. Or face up on the field, shuffle all of those into the deck. So this is like good to soil your some specific plans, but this is a lot more niche and a lot more like specific. So only one, a lot less likely to come up. Copy of Lightning Burr takes 2 level 3 fire monsters. Once per turn, you can do this one to target a fire monster in your grave, add that target to your hand, and you can also normal or special summon monsters, that monster or monster with the same name for the rest of the turn. This is good for the aforementioned grind game, or it also doesn't have a limitation, so this may also let us reuse something like Ash Blossom, which is really nice. And finally, 2 copies of Horse Prince, which obviously we can make with Spirit with any of our level 3s. Takes a fire tuner and 1+ non-tuner monster. When the card is synchro summoned, you can spell summon a level 3 or fire monster from your deck. And after you synchro summon this card, you cannot spell summon level 5 or higher monsters for the rest of the turn, which is why it doesn't really help for synchro climbing. But this can help us make something like a nightmare in situations where we're not locked by Panda, which is most likely what we would use this for. But it's okay to have. It's something that we can do with Spirit if need be. But I think this deck is like pretty cool. There are like some decent boards that you can put up with. It's a little bricky, I will say that much. Like, I think if you had access to Alamirage and that way like Raven could serve as a starter, this deck would be so much better. But even without Alamirage, like with a few good cards in your starting hand, like you can put up like pretty decent boards and even play through like some interaction, which is pretty neat. And like I said, the current game is pretty good. So I'm kind of looking forward to this, honestly. So hopefully the games go good. Hopefully you enjoyed the deck breaker and enjoy Jeexx as well. And afterwards, I will see y'all in the dueling zone.
Okay, so we are playing Fists of the Gadgets. As you can see, I'm running a gadget deck consisting of simply every single gadget in the world, and Machinas, and then some. Ash Blossom, boot up Admiral, destroy Dynamo. This thing has the ability to be spell summoned by sending 2 gadget monsters from your hand or field to the graveyard, and cannot be destroyed by other effects while you control a gadget monster, or a gadget monster is equipped to a monster. And once per turn, you can destroy other card on the field, and yeah. Boot up Corporal has the effect to target up to 2 machine gadget monsters you control or in your graveyard with different names. Special summon this card from your hand. Then equip those targets to this card, regardless of their type. You can only use this effect to boot up Corporal, blah, 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 for gains 1,000 attack for each card equipped by this effect. This doesn't matter. The fact that it says you can target up to 2 and doesn't have a minimum means that you can special summon this card for free. Then we have Ghost Sister Spooky Dogwood, which has the effect of you discarded, you gain life based off of cards that are summoned. We're playing this because we're playing Ultimate Offering and we're going to be trying to stall our opponent out essentially. Gold Gadget, when you normal spell summon this card, you can spell summon a level 4 machine monster from your hand, and it's destroyed by valid card effect, you can spell summon a gadget monster from your deck. Green Gadget adds a red Machina Fortress. You can discard machines up to level 8 from your hand to spell summon this card from your hand or graveyard. Rectan, you can add a Redux from your hand by banishing an Earth monster and discarding this card and an Earth monster, or spell summoning Redux from your deck. Red Gadget adds a Yellow Gadget. Redux, banish 2 Earths or Dragon monsters from your hand or graveyard, except this card, and spell summon this card. And then it's a level 7, it's supposed to go into XYZs. Scrap Recycler, when it's normal summoned, Foolish, a machine monster from your deck, and you can shuffle 2 level 4 Earth machine monsters from your graveyard into the graveyard and draw 1 card. Ooh, it's level 4. Silver Gadget, when it's normal summoned, you can spell summon level 4, and then if it dies, spell summon a gadget from deck. And yellow adds a green. Boot up Order, Gear Change. When this card is activated, you can target a number of gadget monsters you control that are equipped to monsters. Spell summon them. You can discard 1 card, add a Boot up Admiral, Destroyer Dynamo from your deck to your hand. That's it. That's the big boss monster. Called by Instant Fusion, Boot up Order. When either player declares an attack and all monsters you control are face-up machine monsters, destroy the attack wizard monster your opponent controls of the number of face-up monsters you control. Power Hold, the Moving Battery. Spell summon this card as an effect monster. Then you can equip 1 level 4 machine gadget monster from your hand or deck to this card. And if this card is summoned this way, this card gains attack equal the attack of the monster equipped to it by this effect plus double that. Sorry. Ultimate Fire Formation Shinto, it's to get ultimate fire and formation technically, but ultimate is the main thing. There is a card in here that I was thinking, I'm gonna double check though, but I think I might have just removed it and I forgot to take this out. But yeah, we have Ultimate Offering, which is in the set itself, so I didn't need this, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna double check though, because I'm pretty sure Ultimate Offering was already in the set itself and I just happened to play this, but it might be this card specifically. That is in fact it. Yeah, never mind. I got Ultimate Offering from Ultimate Fire Formation Shinto. Yeah. And then we have Waking the Dragon, and then we have Limited Removal. Boot up Commando, blah blah blah, Raw Seer mode, Barlow Savage Dragon, which we can summon by using a Parapsychro from our Instant Fusion and a single one of our Tuner hand traps by normal summoning them. Very clunky, very inefficient, but it works. Then we have Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, 2 level 7s, can be destroyed by card effects, well has material, and if it has material, you each time people act this card effect, they inflict 500 damage to themselves. Bar Load for OTK, Portal Sword for OTKs, Platinum Gadget for extending Hita for possibly yoinking some shit. Then. Oh yeah, Hita I also get from Shinto here. Then we have Machina Fortress here. Machina Fortress again, really efficient card in this deck. The fact that it allows us to discard basically everything in the deck. Parapsychroid, the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. This is in the set, correct? I'm gonna double check that. Fist of Gadget. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is in the set, and how I get all my dragons in this shit. We have Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, Gear Gigan because it's a machine monster. Draco Sack, we have this thing that allows us, it's a number, but we get it because it's a machine support thing. It's a machine XYZ monster support, but specifically it's machine support. Therefore, we're allowed to play it. Then we have Galaxy Tomahawk, which is a thing that summons machine type monsters, so it mentions machines in its text, therefore it's a machine support card. And then we have Super Dimensional Robo Galaxy Destroyer, which we get from having Destroyer Dynamo. And then we have Liebe, which mentions a rank 10 machine XYZ monster, therefore allowing us to play it as well. We've seen these cards for the most part, except for Galaxy Tomahawk, which allows us to detach materials and then summon cards to an infinite number of cards up to filling out our field to the field, whatever the fuck, who cares? You've probably seen this card if you know anything about the game. This card is ass for the game's health at this point, and that's why it is banned. Then we have this thing which has the effect of just destroying all spell traps, and your opponent cannot respond to this thing. It's 5k beat stick. The main thing with it is, though, just getting out Liebe because it's a rank 10. So, yeah. Then we have Bar Load, cannot be targeted, and Quick Vet, you can reduce the attack of the card, and then if your opponent, if this attacks a monster, you can yoink that monster. Platinum Gadget, Gleeful Genius. This link summon card is unaffected by spell trap cards and their activate effects of other link monsters. Once per turn, you can play one face-up card on each player's field, except this card. Both those cards have their effects negated, and until the end of this turn, when two monsters are spell summoned at the same time to the zones this card points to, you can add a level 5 or higher machine monster from deck to your hand. So essentially, if there happens to be a fucking universe where I go boot up order gear change while I have Genius on board, I get to add to my hand either Machina Fortress or Destroyer Dynamo. But yeah, that about does it. I think this deck is kind of strange. It's a very basic gadget deck, but it can be pretty consistent overall, like the way that I was testing stuff out on it. So we'll see how this plays out. Good luck with the games.
Hey there. First and foremost, you're probably wondering, why is it so quiet? Why is Jeexx not talking? I kid you not. This is like, for the first time in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Learning Journey, the video file that I have of the games is corrupted. Like, I kid you not, and the reason why I'm prefacing it like this is because when I'll talk to you about how the games actually went, you'll then understand. For the first time in 144 episodes, no matter what I do, like I've tried the editing software, if I put the video file that I have of our games into my editing software, the shit won't render. Like, no matter what. I've tried cutting literally 99% of it out. I've tried speeding up it. I've tried shortening it. I've tried making it faster. I've tried so many different things to modify the file. But if that base file, if I put the base file that I have of the games into my editing software, it just won't render, no matter what. Like, literally no matter what. So, the initial idea that I had was, and once again, I'm prefacing, the initial idea I had was that I tried to edit we had like a 50-minute episode. I tried to edit it down to like 10 minutes. And then I just figured, okay, it just won't render because there were so many edits, and for whatever reason it was overloading the software. I don't fucking know. That was the initial idea. Didn't work. Like I said, then afterwards I tried like everything, and at some point I was like, I don't know what happened, but the video file literally doesn't work. And now the reason why I say that's insane is we had the single worst episode we've ever had in this series, including the Venom Mirrors, including me being salty in the Dino versus, funnily enough, Machina structure deck episode. Like, this is by far the worst. So the first game was okay. The first game was fine. the other two games, like at that point, like I got very tilted, so I basically just went. I did nothing but narrate what I was doing. What I was doing was not crazy good, and kind of nothing just happened. So, game. I will kind of replicate what happened game one, which is why I'm here from Jeexx POV, because the only cool thing that happens happened, I say happens as if essentially we might as well treat the episode to not exist. And like there is a world where like we're thinking like maybe we re-record the episode, but it would feel, I don't know, it would feel weird going back, because like this shit is not competitive, but still like there's essential like there's one out and lose and then going back to redoing it all again, and it's, I don't know. It opens up a can of worms that we'd rather not open up, and it would feel weird. So it was just like, we can have terrible episodes at some point. But essentially what happened, stuff happens, game one. Well, I'll actually show you. So I'll explain games 2 and 3 afterwards, but game one is essentially, here's a faithful recreation. I have the video file open so just so I remember, but it wasn't like that crazy, so I should be fine. So essentially, I go first. I win the coin flip. I activate Tenki. I get ashed. With my hand that I have, I get ash, and there are basically no more plays that I can make. So I'll just like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I will pass the turn. And then Jeexx, I don't know what he drew for turn, but I'm pretty sure like this is stuff that he actually had. So the draw doesn't really matter. Actually, yeah, we'll say the second redux is the draw, because obviously I had 5 cards with ash. So we'll just do that, because that's somewhat likely that's what happened. Regardless, Jeexx normal summons Scrap Recycler and sends a Machina Fortress from deck to grave. Also, ignore my deck says I kind of just threw in stuff. The only relevant stuff that I have here is just for this combo. Then Jeexx discards Destroyer Dynamo, because that equals it to summon back a Machina Fortress from his graveyard. And then banishing Destroyer Dynamo from the graveyard, as well as the other Redux from the hand, he special summons from his hand the other Redux. He uses these two to overlay them for a Galaxy Tomahawk. He then uses the effect of Galaxy Tomahawk, detaching 2, and summoning 4 tokens. These are machines, level 6, and bada bida booda ba. Then I think it was using, then using the Galaxy Tomahawk as well as one of the tokens. He summons out a Platinum Gadget. Then using, I think he literally did, yeah. Then using 2 more tokens, he summons a Cleaver Genius that then negates my Tenki. And then here I need to actually see what else did he do, because wait, did he actually? I guess like he could have used these 2, but he then just uses the Cleafort, and I think, and the token to make another Cleafort. I'm pretty sure like he literally did. Yes, he literally does this just to summon out a second Cleafort Genius. Then he was going to pass here, but then he went like, okay, you know what? Since I might as well do it since I can. He does this. And this is his ending board. He has an Ultimate Offering set. The first thing I activate in my turn is another Tenki, in which he obviously changed the Ultimate Offering. Doesn't matter. That's all essentially that happens game 1. Because after that, for the next, I kid you not, it was almost 20 minutes I spent trying to find a way to out Borlo Dragon in my Fire Fist deck. And I kid you not, with the hand that I had, like, I do not have a way to deal with Borlo Dragon. Like, at the end of everything, like, the only way that I found to deal with this was through Tiger King. Obviously, Tiger King can detach to negate the effects of your opponent's monsters, and then, well, everything on the board except for Beast Warriors. But in that instant, like, the only thing that mattered was this. And the way it went is, like, I couldn't make Tiger King and the fusion both. Actually, yeah. I couldn't make Tiger King and the fusion in the same turn, and I forgot the part about Borreload where you can't be targeted with monster effects. So first I just go for the fusion, and on the summon I realize, oh yeah, I can't target this, so I'm just shit out of luck. We go to Jeex's turn. Jeexx just swings into my thingamabob, takes the fusion, and at that point, like, I have Eagle and I have Panda, so I have protection for my board. Then it comes back to me, and now with the limited resources that I have, I'm like, okay, I'm only running one of the fusion spell, so I need to find a way to bounce that back to my hand. Obviously, that means that I need to make another Eagle, because that has the effect of, like, foolishing by bouncing something, because my previous Eagle got destroyed on Jeex's turn. And I have to find a way to bounce that back to my hand, so then I have to find a way to make Tiger King, and then fusion summon again. Because then if I make Tiger King, I can negate the Borreload Dragon, and then if I fusion summon after that, now it's negated, so it doesn't have the protection from monster effect targeting, so I can pop it. Now the issue here, after all of that, like I said, like, these two turns took like 20 minutes from me, and at the end of it all, like, I go to make Eagle. Like, obviously, a way to guarantee the Tiger King being removed is, like, pop it yourself with something like Bear or something, or just crash in the Borreload Dragon. And then I get it off the field. I get the two bodies. I can use those to make stuff. But with the hand that I had, I literally couldn't. Actually, it might have been that I could, but I didn't realize that. But it was, like, essentially, like, I had to find a way to trigger the Tiger King when it leaves the field effect. I go into, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a great game, I forget that using stuff to summon something means that when effects don't trigger, which I thought that was only the when effects don't trigger when you're using something to summon something. I thought those only don't trigger if the monster you're summoning actually has an effect when summoned, because Eagle doesn't, but apparently it just straight up doesn't work ever. So at that point, when I realized that I make Eagle, and then at that point Jeexx points that, I'm just, like, so tilted. I'm like, all right, dude, I don't give a shit. I just click go next. We go siding. I'm all about Borreload Dragon being a silver bullet for my deck, and after that, what I said earlier just transpires. I basically just go, I'm only narrating what I'm doing, and Jeexx also goes just full mute. So the rest of the episode, garbage. Game 2, I Jeexx, I open whatever. Jeexx gets a spooky dogwood activation, ends up with like 15,000 life points. I make a board full of monsters. I put him down to like 5,000 from those. And then he just doesn't find anything. The game just ends, and then we go the third game. Stuff happens. Actually, wait, was it even? Yeah. Some stuff happens, and then when I try to activate my first Tenki of the turn, Jeexx once again chains Ash Blossom, and at that point, I think, like, verbatim, I just said, yeah, alright, nobody wants to watch this shit. I click defeat. I declare that, yeah, that was a wonderful episode, and I'll have a combo at the end of it on what my deck could do, and then I think I tell Jeexx, I know you don't care about that, and so I'll just link it at the end of the video piece. And that's literally what happened. Sorry, this is a dog shit episode, I know, but essentially the only thing that, the only cool thing, if you could call it cool, that happened in the entire episode was that Jeexx, like, found the most roundabout way of making Borreload Dragon, which happened to be literally almost unaudible in my deck. So that's just everything that happened. So I guess if there's a silver lining to all of this, like if there was an episode like the video file to get corrupted out of the entire catalog that we've had thus far, all 144 episodes, I couldn't be happier that it happened to be that, because it was so dog shit. But I do still feel like, because of like how pissy I got about everything and stuff like that, I still wanted to give you the whole picture. And like it would, even though like it was because of like outside means that it's now gonna be like the unreleased games, and it's still like I don't know, and obviously I had no hand to playing that. It was still like feel really weird to essentially have the episode where I just acted like a baby be swept under the rug. So I still wanted to give you the full context. But like I said, like we're chill. It was just like I was very tilted that day, but it's still unfortunate, obviously, that we lost the footage. Now the scariest part here is just like the fact is like it's now happened once, so I'm terrified that it might happen again. But yeah. But Jeexx also said like afterwards when like told him like everything here. Like he said like this is essentially the ceiling of what his deck can actually do. It's gadgets, so it's essentially just a resource loop and really can put up like big stuff. But like obviously board load in the matches specifically was very good. And I will still have the, because this is like whenever I'm like playing a deck, I actually do spam some like test hands and just try to spam on MD Pro 3, like just try to see what my deck can do. Let's see what this deck can do. That's what the deadlock has out there. And there was like stuff that this deck, my deck, sorry, I said this deck, I'm now referring to the deck that I actually played, Firefest, I could do, and I'll have that linked here. And I also just like, since this episode ended up because of what happened here, and it's just going to be 15 minutes of me yapping, I figured that I might as well, there was a combo that was like even better than the stuff that I actually found in spamming testing. I'll also have that afterwards. So essentially it's like the combo that I found will be after this, and at the end of the episode it'll be like the theoretical ceiling of my deck. But I will say my deck was not good. It was very bricky, and it essentially like most hands ended up with like absolutely nothing. So I brought a bad deck, and it came back to bite me. But like I said, I think that's about it. I'm not gonna keep you here any longer. This is hopefully gonna be a one-off episode like this. But and next week we'll be back in form as per usual. But yeah, like I said, I'll have the combos after. I think since one of them is just a silent replay, I think I'll have that first, and then after that I'll actually narrate through the theoretical ceiling of my deck afterwards, and that'll be the end of the episode. But next week should be, if I'm not mistaken, I might as well actually check. Next week should be the Gold Sark episode. So yeah, we have the Gold Sark 10 for next week. So a lot of stuff obviously there that we can cook with, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully things go better. I promise to do better in the future. I'm not gonna get PC over my opening hand traps every single game, because you know it's RNG, and sometimes RNG just fucks you in the ass. Regardless though, this is why I normally say that hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Nobody enjoyed this episode, not us, not you, and I would just like to apologize. Enjoy the combos afterwards though. I still think they're neat, and we'll see you next week for Gold Sark 10. So have a great rest of your day. Peace. Alright guys, so here is the actual highest ceiling combo the deck can do. We can also, instead of opening Tensu, we can also, and key I think, but we go normal elephant, sending Tensu, then shuffling back to summon the Raven from our hand, shuffle back the Tensu to add Panda. Then we're gonna link summon, using the 2 monsters in the field to go for Eagle, which lets us activate our effects without paying costs. Then we can add the Tenki and activate the Tenki to add Dragon, thanks to Raven being sent from the field to the grave. Then we can use Panda, shuffle it from our hand, summon back from the grave the elephant, some normal dragons since we haven't actual normaled. We can use Eagle effect to Foolish Bear. We can use Dragon to summon back the bear. Once again, we don't have to pay cost thanks to Eagle. We're gonna go into the first Tiger King of the combo, which will set our field spell. We'll immediately just activate the field spell. To get the counters going, we'll use Bear to pop our own Tiger King, to summon Dragon ×2 from our deck. None of these are like hard ones per turns. Well, most of these. First Dragon will revive back the Raven, which we'll use with the Bear to go into Peacock. This doesn't really matter, just to get them off the field so we can use their soft ones per turns once again. We'll set the Tensu just because we can activate an additional Tensu to chain our dragons. You don't need to add both because obviously Sinto is a hard once per turn, but since we can get them out of the deck and get them on the field, might as well. Then we use the second dragon to revive back the bear. Then once again, as you probably expect, we can use the 2 dragons we've now used to go into the second copy of Tiger King. And Tiger King is going to set our ritual spell. Then we'll use Bear, once again popping our Tiger King. Tiger King this time summons back 2 Roosters. This is why it's important to have 2 Roosters in the deck for the actual Sealant combo. Roosters are hard ones per turn to add, but we're gonna add Eland. We'll use the Bear and Panda to make some space to ritual summon into the Eland we just added. Then we'll use the Rooster to actually send, because you can still send stuff, the Dome to add Engine. And then we'll use the effect of Dome being sent to add back the dragon. Then we'll use the roosters to go into Lion Emperor. Lion Emperor will attach one of the roosters to add back Eland, that is just for later. Then we'll use dragon since we now have space to revive back a rooster. We will use the engine, we'll use the dragon that we'd use at Lion Emperor as well to now fusion summon into Swan. Here I make a mistake, the Swan should be on the middle zone to have a zone for Peacock. Then we use Rooster to send the fusion spell out to set Tencent, and we'll also get to add Dragon back to our hand. And finally we'll remove 6 counters to also have follow-up from, for next turn from Spirit. So this is our final ending board. So obviously we got a crazy +1 into our hand. We also added like specific cards. Obviously it's better to have a Tenki in your hand, that's why like starting off Tensu is a lot better. We have a monster negate in Eland. We have a pop with Bear, and like I said, like the Bear, Swan. Swan should be summoned here to have a free zone for Peacock to actually use its effect, so that was a mistake on my part. We also do have a Sprout Weapon Negate. Obviously we had 2 of them, but can you only use one per turn. And then we also have the big like attack boost, so a pretty decent board that the deck can do, but obviously requiring essentially 3 specific cards is not gonna happen a lot. But still figured I might as well show this because I highly doubt we'll see Fire Fist again. At least like I'm not personally that interested in playing them in the future. The most you'll see of Fire Fist is whenever we end up playing a Beast Warrior deck. Obviously there's gonna be 3 copies of Senki in there. But yeah, I thought this was still pretty neat. So once again, like, sorry for how the episode turned out. I'm recording this a day after all the shenanigans that happened, so we talked about it with Jeexx, all's cool, but I'll definitely do better in the future. So very different episode this time around. We'll be back to normal next week, so I'll see you guys for the Gold Sark episode. Once again, sorry about that, and have a great rest of your week and day. Peace.